Happy cows eating grass on the hillside. And we have about a week and a half worth of moves to go across till we hit that fence line, and then we drop back to the front again. And that little Jersey sure does stick out. Hey, Rambo. (33°C) without the humidex right now, according to the thermometer on the house. I can't exactly blame these guys for deciding they're going to lay down in the trees. But they sure look awful content there. And they all followed me up into the field when I came to do a check on how they were pushing the grass. Normally I'd be moving them every 2 days, but this flushed up so fast when the heat showed up that we're going to have to leave them here a little longer than usual to put some pressure on it and keep it in the stage where we want it. So here we are, May 25th, in what we've just moved the front fence ahead of. And I know there's lots of people that still keep the cows eating because there's tufts like this in here before they were willing to move them, but we're in desperate need of rain, and we're going to try and keep a bit more residue than we normally would, hoping that it'll shade the ground and help keep our soil moisture up a bit so that when we do get rain, things can continue to take off. We're in for at least 1 or 2 more days of 30-degree temperatures and more rain not showing that they're forecasting. As you can see, we're starting to already suffer some burn at the ground, even in spots where the cows really haven't put much pressure on the grass. And this is where we were just in for the last 2 days. And there's the grass we're moving into. Things are looking pretty good. I mean, like we said in the previous video, this is where we had that real sandy top zone that wasn't really productive, and the grass is doing okay in here for now, but we're already starting to see some burnout due to lack of rain here too. And even down below there, where we were at the beginning of the season, we're having burnout where we left 4 or 5 inches of residue, and we should be seeing some regrowth. It's going to be an interesting year. August temperatures in May, and not much sign of break from the heat anytime soon. But for now, we've got at least a couple weeks of decent grazing ahead of us before we have to worry too much. And only one of them is willing to come out of the shade right now to eat. Saved you the torture of the bumpy walk down the hill, but this is what we're facing in even ungrazed areas right now. We had 10 days of rain that followed into, what, 7-8 days now of no rain, and overnights in the high teens, daytime highs with the humidex over 30°C. It's not looking great. But then we come over into here where we've put a little bit of pressure onto it and done some quick moves, and it's actually looking a little bit better for having had that agitation. Those the points of the cattle's hooves do create little divots that the water can pool in instead of running off the surface. And we'd hoped that we had a bit better impact on this goldenrod last year, grazing it really tight, but it appears we may have to clip this pasture a couple times this year to stop it from going to reseed. Part of the reason I know how dry it is it's been almost 2 weeks since we've been off of this area. And this broadleaf grass here is Reed's canary grass. It's a grass you commonly see in ditches that's a meter to a meter and a half high come fall with a big bushy seed head on it. And it usually in spring conditions would be growing almost 8 inches to a foot per week, as long as it's not being grazed. We've managed to get about 3 or 4 inches of growth on it in 2 weeks. So while you're all enjoying this heat, remember, we do need some rain. Because otherwise, hay is going to be hard to find this year, and consequently, your food may be more expensive as a result. But there is some reassurance to see some seedlings starting to take off even with all this heat. Shows us things haven't dried right out yet. And here we are back into that thick goldenrod that we'll probably have to clip this week or next, just to kind of give the grass a bit of a leading advantage, especially if we keep having this drought. That ridge up top there is going to be all dried right out. Probably only get 1 or 2 grazing passes all season off of it, which is why we broadcast all of the alfalfa that we did up there and a little bit of trefoil as well, to try and get something that's a little deeper rooting and will loosen the soil. We're hoping to not have to till it up and try and plant something in there a bit healthier. And now we're getting into the stuff that we've only been off of for about a week, and it's still coming along okay. Again, it's pretty dry looking in the bottom there, but the grass is still growing, so we'll take it. Believe it or not, this little pass here that's fairly dried out actually used to be that highway a long time ago before they did a realignment. So we're actually walking up the middle of what used to be the 2 separate farm properties once upon a time. And I haven't checked the date record to see when that realignment happened, but my understanding is it was back in the 30s or the early 40s. Oh, and there's Connor. Apparently he decided to get out of his tree. Well, it's good to see some of the forage is starting to outcompete the grass and dig deep for moisture. We'd really wondered if any of this seeding was going to take, as we've discussed in other videos, but if you look around, there is some hope. It's all starting to come up and break through the grass, and we've got it to a good enough maturity that even some of it should be gone to flower by the time cows get here. And with any luck, that'll also mean that we can turn it around into reseeding itself this year. Well, the cows haven't even been here yet, and that's clipped off. Look in there. So the deer have been in here grazing on that as well, which is a good sign. If they're coming around, it means things are healthy enough and calm enough. I am excited to get into this nice tall stuff over the next couple days. Cows will graze away in the shade here. Would have loved if the weather had worked with us and we got up into this top end here as the weather was starting to get hot instead of when we were out in the open, but at least they've got the pond to revert to. And really hoping for that rain to get this over here going, because otherwise this is only going to be a few days worth of moves across the top before we have no choice but to go back down to the bottom. That's really sparse. And unfortunately, when you have this sparse yellowish grass compared to that nice dark blue color, the sparse stuff really doesn't offer the same nutritional value, and we have to make up with it in grain and mineral supplements that but considering that tree had no leaves just a week ago, goes to show how quick we got hot. Look at that, we go to leave the field and the cows decide it's time to come up and eat. Which is nice, gave us some time to get the move done the way we wanted to without trying to stop them from hopping over the line and get to the next round of lush green stuff.
Dad, is it water in these? Dad, Daddy? Water in these?
Is there water in those? You tell me, Connor. You bite the end of that and you tell me if there's water in there. Not very much, is there? Tastes pretty sweet though, doesn't it?
Yes, there is. There's water in it.
Lots of people ask why we don't put the back fence in, because they were just over there grazing. And the main reason, really, once they've walked over it and peed on it a couple times, they don't want to eat it anymore. They'd rather come over here to this fresh stuff, munch away. What's the name of that plant, Connor?
Milk.
Milk what? Milkweed.
Milkweed.
And what kind of butterfly eats from that?
A monarch.
You're right, buddy. So we make sure we try and leave those in the ground, right? Why did you pull it out? If they're in the ground, then we bring the butterflies around and they can be healthy and happy. Butterflies don't have food if we take them all out, do they? I don't know if that's going to work, pal, but you can give her a try. There you go. Connor, what is this you built?
A bird nest for birds.
A bird nest for birds, and how does this one work? Aren't birds nests usually made from feathers and grass? How does your bird nest work?
You put them in the ground like this, and then make a roll across like this, and then
You need to talk louder, buddy. I can't hear you.
you put some right in the wall, and then some up top, then some on the bottom.
And what's it do?
It's a bird nest for birds.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, pal.
And it gives birds shade.
Shade. Well, that's important in this heat, isn't it? There you have it, folks. Apparently now step-in posts also make bird nests. Who knew? Thanks for watching. Have yourself a good day.